there's constantly a "you okay, hun?" kind of feel to the comments underneath, and I think that's where it can be. That's where it goes off kilter.
Yeah, the shot of them, like the photograph, like of the hospital band.
And
the caption being, "Don't want to talk about it." Don't want to talk about it, and all the comments, "Are you okay?" All this stuff. You're like, okay, cool.
Or like, no caption at all, just the picture. Yeah,
I know. There's one that jumps to my mind, and I was genuinely in shock when I saw it. Hey, I'm Jay Woodard. I am a creative director, photographer and videographer of the Ed32 agency based in the south of Ireland in Cork.
Hi, I'm Judy Russell. I'm a video coach and founder of the Vid Academy.
Hi, I'm Jen Bryan, and I'm the co-founder and chief marketing officer of a digital marketing agency called Velocity Growth.
Hi, I'm Sian Horn. I'm a business mentor and coach. I'm also the founder of the National Network for Women in Business called The Club. And I also am the ambassador for Champion Green.
Welcome to episode 13 of Unbranded. And this week we are going to talk all about oversharing on social media following an incident, I'm going to call it, that I had. So I'm just going to explain what happened, read out the post that I put up, and then we can talk about that, and then some of your experiences with oversharing on social media. So I
call it keyhole gate. The keyhole gate.
Oh, lads, right. It's been emotional. So it's in my archives now. And
I was in stitches, Judy. Genuinely, I was showing my wife updates like regularly. I was like, this is phenomenal.
I am so glad because, right, when I posted it, that is how I perceived people to read it. Like, I wanted it to be just a funny little kind of thing. And then I started getting loads of like, I hope you're okay. I hope everything's okay. And I was like, I'm fine. I'm actually fine. I'm just like having a fucking like meltdown, but like a little one. And I know it's a little one, but what I found actually was funny is that I found
tell listeners just to tell listeners what it was, what you did first.
Okay. You have to I think you have to let people know. You had keyhole surgery. You were drugged up.
I had keyhole surgery. Exactly. And I do explain that. So I put up the ugliest photo of me crying in a hospital bed, right? No filters and just as ugly as I could make it because I thought that was really funny too. And then I said, warning, this is not a pity post.
There, look.
This is not a pity post and I may delete it when the painkillers wear off, laughy face, setting the tone of, I think this is funny. Earlier, I had standard keyhole surgery for an ovarian cyst, nothing to worry about, and it all went swimmingly. The South Infirmary Hospital feels like a getaway, and I'm actually having a lovely time. Honestly, 5 stars, South Infirmary. However, I keep crying. Ugly tears mixed with laughing at myself. I think this is the result of general anaesthetic. So here are the topics that have brought me to tears, because I was keeping track of them. I was like, there's so many weird stuff.
I could see you in a little notebook.
I was. And then I was like, I'm going to post this anyway. Number 1, nurses. They work so hard, don't get paid great, and still manage to be kind for 12.5 hours a day. Seriously, lads, I don't know how they do that anyway. Tinder, I got a rejection message after a first date. I bawled my eyes out for 5 minutes and I wasn't even that interested. Next, Palestine. I was thinking about how safe and warm I feel here in the hospital. And then I thought about the hospitals in Palestine, the people in the hospitals in Palestine who are terrified. 4 nurses in Palestine, enough said. 5 friends. My friend just told me I was her green flag friend. And after 6 months of being put down by a guy I was seeing and convincing myself that I'm the problem, this really hit the healing of my soul. Number 6, this. I'm crying while writing this. I'm still a bit high from all the hospital drugs, and I generally don't share personal stuff and focus on the shiny side. But feck it, life is short, sharing is caring, and I love when other people speak their truth. So here is a pinch of mine.
I love it.
Immediately, I got a text message from my mother, all caps, take that down. And I was like, no. I'm leaving it. And anyway, I had this big, she was like, no, Judy, you look terrible in the photo. And, like those bitches, like general world, don't need to know that much information about you. Take that down. And I was like, no, I am leaving it up. Still drugged off my head. And I was happy I left it up. But just to give you some stats, lost 6 followers, but reached 1,600 people, 254 likes, 189 comments. It's the most active social media post I've ever encountered in my life. But I forgot that it duplicates on Facebook. So later on, the next day, I open up Facebook and I'm like, oh, lads, I'm still dying. So anyway, just you can ask me questions or you can tell me something that will make me feel better about my...
I'll ask a couple of things. First, I have 3 questions. First one is, did you read all the comments?
Oh yeah, and I responded to all of them and they were so lovely.
Because I like Jay, like my response straight away was high as a kite. Don't worry if you delete it, I will screenshot it for you. So you will have it forever. Because I just thought it was brilliant. Was there a different response, it's my other question, on Instagram than Facebook? Because Facebook is a different arena. And I would see concern in Facebook, and some people would have got the humor on Instagram.
You're so right. But what I found, I think, now this is a personal reflection, is that people's own experience and view of the world was more how they read it, as opposed to where the thing was placed. Like people who were kind of going through stuff themselves probably felt like extremely empathetic. And then like I have a friend in Australia that I know since school, and he writes, "You look terrible." Like that was my favorite comment of all. Like, and my mum was like, "I can't believe Cian, you look terrible." I mean, I was like, but that's just Cian. Like I was like, that's funny. So I think it was, everyone reads things from their own kind of point of view, I think.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, they put their spin on it where, like, however their life is being affected, they feel that's their reaction to it more than your reaction to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so, lads, tell me
well
here.
done, though. I loved it.
Oh, thanks, Jay. Cheers. Now I've archived it since because of the cringe. I woke up like 3 or 4 days later. That was enough time, like people stopped commenting and stuff like that. And I was like, one of my friends was like, it is your business page. And, going back to the personality or the brand archetypes, like I've always positioned the Vid Academy as like, kind of like the sage archetype where it knows stuff and it teaches you. It's like professional and stuff like that. Recently, I've gone into the humor side with Carol. And then I just went into the, here's my whole life in a terrible post once. So I was like, rein it back. It's not my personal page. But do you guys have you ever posted something or even seen something? Jen, I'll go to you first.
I haven't personally posted anything that I would put in that category, kind of for a multitude of reasons. And it crosses my mind every now and again especially if I'm feeling feisty about something. I don't know, when it comes to this topic, there's like a few different variations for me. Your post was very authentic. It was one-off. It's not something that you do every single day. It was like a little pinch. And we were like, I know I was texting you in the background and so was everyone else at the same time, that we got it and it made a lot of sense. And it was a really lovely post, to be frank, But then there's the extreme opposite where you have someone using this as like their core content pillar, and they may not even think of it like that. They may not even be in business. They may not even be, into marketing in general, but the style of content is that running theme of, I want to call it oversharing. We'll call it, where it just kind of cuts a little too close to the bone. There's constantly a "you okay, hun?" kind of feel to the comments underneath. And I think that's where it can be, that's where it goes off kilter.
Yeah, the shot of them, like the photograph, like of the hospital band.
Yeah,
and like the caption being, "Don't want to talk about it." Don't want to talk about it, and all the comments, "Are you okay?" All this stuff. You're like, okay, cool.
Or like, no caption at all, just the picture. Yeah,
I know. There's one that jumps to my mind, and I was genuinely in shock when I saw it. It went viral a year or two ago. I don't know if you've seen it. She's in this hospital room, this girl, and her baby is on life support, and like all the wires on the baby and stuff. And she's doing a dance, like a TikTok dance, telling the story of what happened to the child. And I was like, are you fucking serious? Like the child was born ill, needed support, this kind of stuff. And it's like, please pray for him. And she's doing all this stuff, doing all the
and
love.
She's really giving it socks.
What?
I know that video you're talking about.
Properly giving it socks, And I was like, genuinely, what is happening? That's completely oversharing.
Yeah, it's a kind of lack of
empathy,
human intelligence.
Yeah.
Do you know what we're actually crossing into is not content, but a source of attention seeking that is probably a deeper psychological piece to a puzzle where I'm by no means in any way trained to talk about psychology. So take what I'm about to say next with a pinch of salt. But when you need human connection to share like that, and you don't have it in real life around you, I think social media can make you susceptible to that sharing for the human connection very quickly. And I think that's probably a whole world unto its own over here that we're not really kind of part of in the marketing world, but exists in the social media plane that we all exist in.
Nice.
We all know people that post a lot about the same thing over and over, or then it just becomes null and void because nothing stands out. The reason that people reacted to your share so much is because it was so different for you to share like that. However, yes, it is your business page, but it is also Judy Russell's page, and it showed people your humor, which they know if they follow your series of Carol. It also obviously resonated with a lot of people that were feeling some of those things that you were feeling. And I think that's really important when it comes to social media. I know you all know, like, I wouldn't say I'm an oversharer. I don't take my social out with me on a Saturday night because all the best things happen off the gram. However, I got into social because talking about a situation I was in, my fertility situation, made me feel better. So I started on Snapchat because I was like, oh, I can just throw my gob out here and it's disappearing in 24 hours. And I like to do that. And so lots of people, we had conversations behind the scenes and it really helped me. So I think there's balance in it. I still, like, for instance, I still get called to ask to speak about that situation. And I made a decision last year. I'll come and talk about it if we can talk about how you can shift mindset, because that's not my history. And, it's part of me, obviously. It's not what I want to talk about. I'm much more happy and exciting than that. But some people, I get what Jen's saying. There's some, like, I could tell you now. So if you're losing hair, I can tell you who to go and watch. If you're going through the menopause, I can tell you who to go and watch. And these are platforms, that's all they talk about. So, and look, let's face it, misery loves a bit of company, doesn't it?
Yeah, it was like I was totally like one eye opening, replying to people that I haven't spoken to in 10 years going, oh my God, girl, so great to hear from you. Like, it was brilliant that way. My dad left me a voicemail and he's like, Judy, you need to go on holidays or something. There's a like pure concern, like literally like she's at the end of her tether concern. And I was like, I'm grand. What are you talking about? So, but other than that, have you seen it? Like, okay, so you've kind of spoken about how it can go too far. And actually one of the things I read, because the word authenticity is kind of something that I don't think that we have, I think it's a word that most people think they understand, but don't really understand, because like some people think authentic is just being like saying whatever's on your mind and almost coming across as a bitch sometimes or a bastard. And then other people are like, no, it's actually just being like having strong values and trying to root everything that you do in those values. I think it's different, but I looked up the difference between authentic posts and oversharing. And it was saying that authentic posts always try to teach people something. And I was like, nope, didn't do that. So I was like, okay, it falls in here. But what's your kind of perception of, I guess, authenticity as a marketing strategy or something like that? Jay?
So I shot myself in the foot big time trying to do this authenticity scenario with the vlogs for one of my first businesses, the donut shops, where like I made it look too easy. I made it look like we're having fun, everything, we're making fortunes, queues, we're busy. In the scenario of people were like, when I was closing my doors, people were like, oh, but you're so busy. And you're like, fuck, I put out the wrong thing altogether. Like, people just thought we were nonstop. Our competitors thought we were so busy that it would be stupid not to set up a donut shop, that this boom happened. So like, and I tried to be authentic and it worked. Like, it obviously worked. I obviously ran other business side of things wrong as well, but like it was pros and cons. But being authentic is tough because you like, yes, you can just, like Shan does, just switch on and talk, and that's who she is across social and stuff. But if people perceive you, they'll always like 10x it. Like, I'm sure there's people out there who think I'm like whatever. Like if like what I was saying, we're super busy. You're unbelievably busy. Like all this kind of stuff. I'm sure people think he's too much, or like she's too much because she's always talking social. That's not her real self. So it's like it's a fine balance, I think, with this kind of stuff on social, or like when you're marketing yourself, or your business.
And Shan, I think you've got a good balance. Like, I think that, like, I think you share a lot, and like a lot of about you and personal side, and you like, you say things like, stop showing up as perfect and stuff. And that's kind of resonated with me, because like the studio, the makeup, like all my videos have a certain kind of, until that one, have a certain standard and stuff. But what do you think about kind of that?
There's two things. So I actually just popped out to the shops a minute ago, and a woman stopped me and said, I bet people stop you all the time, but I just wanted to say thank you for your page because you're a breath of fresh air. So using the word breath of fresh air means that she's watching other people that aren't a breath of fresh air, which means, like I'm saying, misery loves company, not just misery, but like to look like a bag of shit. Sometimes we all do. So, you have to show, and when I put makeup on and do my hair, people always are so complimentary because I've made an effort, but I'm showing the real me. I can't show anything else because you'd scare people if you did. I always say, if I scrubbed up every day and then went out to the shop as I normally look, I'd probably scare people. Do you know what I mean?
What the hell is that?
Who the hell is that?
That's not Shen.
But yeah, so I think that breath of fresh air sort of thing. I think what we have to remember as well is it is social media. I use it to network and meet people. However, I find like sometimes it can be quite a lonely place. Like often I'll say to people, listen, I talk to my phone all the time because no one's bloody ringing me, because they all look at my social media, all my mates, and go, well, she's grand. I know what she's up to. So they've stopped. So they don't call. And I think, remember that, like I've said it to a few of my mates recently, just because you're watching me on social, that, like I said, all the best things happen off the gram. I'm not going to go on the gram when I'm having a great night out, hammered, like it's not going to happen. So I think we have to remember, although I share an awful lot, I also don't share an awful lot. And those are the things important, to me. Which there's not much left, to be honest.
But I think that's the same with absolutely everyone. Is like, everything that anyone selects to put on social media is hand selected. It's hand selected for whatever particular reason, but it is hand selected content. So you got to take, like, I'm just as a side note, Shan, I really am dying to see Saturday Night Live with Shan. So if that could be a thing, that would be wonderful.
Well, if someone sponsors me enough.
Yeah.
Hashtag.
Because you're smart enough not to put it on social. There are people who aren't smart enough and put it on social. I remember we were doing a campaign, we were doing Freshers Week, and there was a whole thing. We had a whole food truck and a whole place and stuff. And this blogger, I can't remember what she blogged in, but she had like 12, 13,000 followers at the time, and she was hammered drunk. And I think she came to me for a collab before, and I said, look, not right now, we're just too busy, and I had other ones happening, but I said, look, I'd love to talk to you in the future, whatever. I was kind to her, and I wasn't rude or anything like that. And she was hammered at this event, and she attacked us on social, taking videos of everything, saying, this is disgusting, awful, like, and kind of zooming into me saying, this guy's a prick, like, just awful stuff. And I was like, what the hell was that about? And I was looking at her story the next, because I didn't see it. Someone saw it and sent it to me. And I was like, what is happening here? And I was kind of laughed about it, because like, there's nothing I can do. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to respond to her, because that would be kind of lowbrow what PR was. But she lost like 2,000 followers that night. And she like messaged me saying, I'm so sorry, I was drunk, I shouldn't have acted like that. She put out PR, like a public thing saying, I'm so sorry to the Huckleberries brand, I shouldn't have done that. It was genuinely childish of me and stuff. But I was like, it's so dangerous if you have a small bit on board and you like start recording. Even if you overshare, like whatever you're talking about, family or whatever it is, it's just dangerous,
I was like, I have got in trouble in the past, without a doubt. Like I told you that my husband said something to me, I think on episode 2, and my husband was like, I never said that, I swear to God. Now, I swear to God he did. But anyway, he was absolutely demented with me. My husband now is such a fan of this podcast. Or say highly. he actually quotes it, which is hilarious when we're out. And I'll say something, he goes, well, Jay wouldn't agree with that because Jay said it. He'll love me for that. But funny enough, years ago when I was on Snapchat, a lot of people my age were on Snapchat, and I was at an award ceremony and I was supporting Cork. And when Cork didn't win, I kept going, robbed. But it was, and then I was interviewing the people that won, and having a bit of a joke about it. But it didn't get me in trouble. But people were like, Jesus, that was to the wire. What I tried to do the other day, Jude, was look through and see sort of what people appreciate, I suppose. And actually, recently, a few months ago, I had to go and visit a company, and basically, short story. Got stuck on the side of a mountain. I'm petrified of heights, burst into tears. When we were driving home, my assistant said, I got loads of footage of you crying. And I was like, what on earth am I going to do with that? I look horrendous and I'm convulsing with the tears. And then I saw this little clip saying, be careful with her. You don't know what she's going through. And I thought, do you know what, actually, I'm going to black and white that out. And so at the beginning of the reel, it's me in a lovely party dress having a time. And then it goes straight into a very short clip of me being upset. And the response to that reel was massive. Over 400, nearly 450 likes. It reached plenty of people. Again, because people can resonate with that. And they always say, there's a saying, and I can't remember it exactly, but it's something like, people will think you're mad to share your story. But if it makes a difference to one person, it might just be worth it. You might have saved them. So I'm a believer of sharing the right thing and showing people that it's okay. Like I said, you look beautiful in that picture as far as I was concerned. You look gorgeous crying. We all look lovely crying, and it's good to get it out. And for me, I'm like, I want to see more of it because it normalizes the fact that you're allowed to just snotty cry when you want to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's all well and good, Shannon, until you see my crying face, which is very Kim Kardashian-esque. There's a lot of wailing involved.
I'm back to that.
Yeah. I look phenomenal when I cry, just so you know.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
Watching like a Nancy Myers movie, just a tiny little tear. I'm like,
it glistens off the light reflecting on the, yeah, I love it. But Jen, what do you think about, because say Shan, Jay, and I are kind of posting from a personal perspective kind of thing, and brand and personal, trying to merge the two. From a larger business perspective, what do you think of larger businesses trying to do, or larger businesses oversharing? Can they overshare? Can it be bad? Are you looking to elevate your marketing and social media? Our podcast is proudly sponsored by Azure Communications, who have the perfect solution for all of your marketing needs.
Whether you need digital marketing, content creation, print, design, or direct mail, they have the skills and expertise to help you improve your brand awareness and drive business growth.
Get in touch with them today for a free social media audit, or to find out more at www.azurecom.ie.
That's AZURECOMM.ie.
I don't know. I think once you get to a certain size of business that you do have to kind of keep a cleaner slate. It kind of depends on the scenario. If you're bootstrapped and growing and it's your vibe and it feels on brand, then go for it. But if you're venture backed and things like that, you can get a slap on the wrist, and you need to keep aligned with a certain brand feel and things. Totally depends, firstly, on how the business is structured. Secondly, what the founders are like, how scared they are to move into that authenticity piece as opposed to playing it safe. But you'll see a lot of the bigger companies that do dive into this. Duolingo is a great example where they brought a bit of an authentic, humorous flair to their content and have done it very, very well. And I think the world of content is about to shift and change anyway from the larger scale. I mean, I did a newsletter yesterday on predictive analytics for content. So personalized content at scale. There's going to come a time where just you can post on, we're already seeing it with the algorithm, but when you post on social that, certain people see certain things, it's like the flip side that Instagram is rolling out. There's going to be pieces of this where maybe it's going to be client only on the flip side, and they get a little bit more of an engaging experience. I think it's all dependent on how you structure it. It's even with my own account though, like my account is big and I struggle with this a lot. Like I think about this, my Roman Empire right now, actually. So, like I was humming and hawing about doing a more personal post on a Friday, just like how my week went, this, that, and the other. But I haven't. I've taken loads of content. My phone is full of videos I could potentially snip together and do stuff like that with her. But I just haven't kind of pushed myself to do that. I'm much happier being like, stop using Canva until you check this out.
Yeah. And I think it works both ways, isn't it? Me and Jen did a little experiment this week. We did a collab post
I loved that,
about a content calendar. And I was saying, for me, obviously, I'm completely lifestyle. I'm trying on clothes. I'm traveling. I'm eating out. That's my feed. So did it work? Not greatly, because we're two different things. We were desperate to get me off that 10,000 CG.
I know.
I'm 42 off. If you're listening to this and you haven't told everybody how amazing my Instagram is, get on it.
Call out the at so that everyone can find it. What's your at? Is it at?
Oh, at Sian _Horn, SIAN _HORN. But I would appreciate it. There's something that I want to do with the client, and they're obsessed with me being over 10,000. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks I'll be there.
And that was really interesting for me as well, because even because the messages were shipping from my account, and actually I think there was a decent volume of people who had, like, I mean, it still was viewed over 16,000 times. The message went out like 559 times, but we're just not aligned content wise enough for it to have worked, which is super interesting, because that's probably one of the first few times I've done it on mine. But like that also fed into me thinking, like, scared me off a little bit on like my ideas for posts this week, where I was like, but there's two sides to it. The audience is so new. Should I have to lean into it now if I'm going to like bring a personal angle to it, if it's going to grow over time? Is it 80% business, 20% behind the scenes of what I'm up to and stuff? And then, to be quite frank and transparent, there is the piece of the puzzle where like I've only been recently diagnosed with autism, and I still kind of learning what's normal and what's not, so I almost like need to find someone to like proof some of that content for me as well, and be like, is this weird? Is this socially normal? Can you take this and look at it and review it for me? Because I'm still kind of like coming to terms with like my ability to perceive social interaction correctly.
Would you not ask your followers, Jen?
I could. I did a poll recently where it was like, do you just want business content? Do you want business and personal, or kind of a mixture of stuff? And it was like 30. It was really difficult to get a sense of it.
So we're going to go back to, what would you say to a client? And I would say to a client, you ask that question 21 different ways over 21 days, and then you make a decision.
Or see, I'm more of a just fuck it out and see how it goes. Just fuck it out and see how it goes. But I'll just need to.
You're muted, Jay.
A little paranoia.
I can hear you. I can hear you trying to speak.
Apologies. Yes, there was drilling next door. Sorry. Why not focus on putting your personal stuff to story only and business to feed?
Yeah.
I was thinking,
because I've liked the dog walks and this kind of stuff, and you moving house and this kind of stuff. I was enjoying seeing your stories, where if I can mute your stories, but I can still stay in your feed and get your posts and your content if I just want that. And it's a nice divide for you to see, right, my story's doing well, my stories aren't doing well.
Yeah, it's interesting. The story feature I definitely was going to jump into, and I'm definitely going to keep doing that. So like what I'm conscious of though is the follower who joins today. And for me, I'm talking about bulks of like 20,000 followers following every kind of month or so. So when that number of people come in and join, I need them to potentially have some sort of authentic connection with me outside of like the core business content. Maybe it's a matter of me like pinning a reel that is a bit more like, hey, welcome to the page. I'm Jen. This is what you can find here. This is what you can find in my stories. Here's where to like navigate the world of my Instagram page. Because I fear like if you just jump in on the stories, you're going to end up with like who's this bitch and her dog? Like, what's going on here? Why is this happening? Like, you're just completely out of context jumping into things. So I
Is
don't
there a
know, I
ManyChat
think that might
feature?
be valuable.
Is there a
A what? A
ManyChat feature that
ManyChat?
can send them an automatic video once they follow and saying, "Hey, I'm Jen, welcome."
No,
Be handy, wouldn't it?
it's really annoying. Yeah, that's one feature that would do really well for them. But yeah, there's probably something to this because like people buy from people. There is that piece of the puzzle. Like who I am and what I'm like to work with does not come across on my Instagram page or my content in general. So it's a difficult one that I'm just like navigating mentally at the moment, spreadsheeting and whatnot. So it's just one of those things that I need to figure out. But it'll be interesting. You'll probably see me randomly start experimenting with it, where all of a sudden there's more of a personal post being shipped on. I was thinking Fridays, weekend vibes, but
Nice.
we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I've started collecting a lot of B-roll for that kind of thing, where I was going to just be like, okay, this is what the week looked like, and do a voiceover afterwards. So,
Okay.
yeah, we'll see.
So, into Teach Me Something New, guys. Jay, do you have something that you could teach us about authentic marketing or oversharing?
Yeah, I think I was saying, like, just protect yourself. Like I was saying that my wife and I have very, very different feeds in the scenario. She's a 33-year-old, 34-year-old woman, your mother, this kind of stuff. And her content that I'm getting is very different to mine because she started doing it recently where you hold down the video and say, not interested. It's so important to do that and protect yourself and build and curate your feed that way. Where, be it on TikTok, I think on TikTok, you hold the video down and say, not interested in this video, and it won't show you videos like that again. Or on Instagram, it's the 3 dots in the top right. And just literally build out and curate the style of content that you want to see from the reels. That is just, Shani, can you see it, Jen? Yeah, it's super handy. It's great. It's super handy because then it might take a week or two of you doing it and just being on scrolling stuff, but then you actually have a feed of stuff you want to see. You're not seeing people complain, and because it's so dangerous to be, because we're so, like, again, I haven't looked at my screen time, but like I'm sure it's 2-3 hours a day, and if half an hour of that is someone complaining or being a fucking pain in the hole or being just not be oversharing. Like, it's like one of those people who come up to you and talk to you and you feel exhausted from talking to them because they've just dumped everything onto you. And it's like that. So just protect yourself. Not interested is an extremely strong feature that I use every day.
Is there a problem of potentially building your social media and then not looking at other news outside of social media and thinking that social media then is what it is, kind of thing? Like moving yourself into a bubble of like not kind of understanding reality kind of thing. Do you think that's
yes, and like no, realistically no, because you can't. But the news is so negative. Oh my God. Like if you listen to the news on the radio, my God, it's murder this, rape this, child death here. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like it's so heavy. So it's and then you go to TikTok. Like if you hear something bad that happens or something big has happened, my first reaction is to go to Twitter. Because I know that's where you're going to get the most up to date. You're going to get that thing, and that's what I see Twitter as like a live newsroom that I stay away from unless I need to go. So personally, I avoid the news because I just can't. It's too negative. I don't want to know. Like obviously, you hear things, you talk to people about politics, and then I will look up and stuff. But I don't listen to the 6-1 news or like the main stuff because I'm going to sound like that fella. But there is not an agenda behind most of it. But there is something we're not being told everything. So just,
thanks for listing out all of the words that is going to make this podcast blacklisted. The topics of the it's like X-rated. Do not listen to this podcast. No, I think. Yeah. Shan, what do you think about? Teach me something about authentic marketing or a response to Jay's idea.
I'll be honest, I don't think you can teach it because it's not for everybody. It's back to that, don't create your content, just be your content. I don't overthink my content. It's part of my life. My stories are an important part of what I put out. There is no spreadsheets for me. There is no strategy as such. I do have a bank of lifestyle ready to go if I need to flip something in, but I know what my people like to see. So I know I need to do a couple of try-ons every week and stuff like that. But if I don't feel like it, I don't do it. And I think that's the important thing. And I am here to have a good time, which not everybody agrees with. You know, there's a lot of awful things going on in the world at the moment, and a lot of people are very successfully using their platforms to tell more people about that. But that's not what I'm there for. And that's a decision I've made. Because actually, when I first started using it, I said earlier, I used it to make me feel better. And fortunately, it worked. And I think when you're authentic, and a lot of my work is actually to give to other people. So I have a really nice community there that are very kind and supportive. I just want to keep it that way, which is, I don't know, I'm keeping myself in my little bubble, but I'm happy to do that.
Great. Jen?
There's a lot to be said for what Shan said there. I agree. Like, you can't really teach authentic marketing. It just has to come naturally. And that's the whole point of the authenticity piece to it. You're just not going to achieve it if you try to manufacture it. And that's even in my head where I'm like looking at my own authentic content and I'm like, well, you've been thinking about it for 6 weeks. How manufactured can it get? Like, I'm not taking my own advice, but it's really, really difficult to do. And it's also really difficult to do if you're just not sure of the platforms, how the content can be perceived. So going back to Shan's note there on like how it would be perceived on Facebook over Instagram, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think if you really want to share and be authentic on social media, there is a piece of the puzzle here where find someone else who is kind of some way being aligned with the content you want to create and is being authentic, and get a sense of the kind of communication that they get. The line, find the line, find the comments, find the feedback, find the sentiment, find what it's all about. Because the other side of it is that, like, if your account blows up and gets massive, you will have to deal with whatever sentiment backlash can potentially come from that as well. And you have to be kind of able for that. People start off with a small account, they get a few, followers, they get a little bit of interaction, and all goes well until something blows up. And like my first video that blew up, I was definitely not mentally prepared. I remember actually I was flying to London for work, and I was so stressed that I was going to have no Wi-Fi on that like hour and a half flight. Like, it wasn't even that long, because I couldn't get rid of the volume of like crap and stuff. So like there's you have to kind of say to yourself, will this be okay if it blows up? And also just have a good sense of the sentiment and lines around the different platforms.
I remember hearing, sorry, Shan, go ahead.
Can I just say, add to that, where you're super authentic though, Jen, you are a business page. So yeah, there is planning in there, but your content is very authentic to you. You put out what you know. You can often see people that do similar stuff to you putting out something that I just watched 6 times previously through my feed. And that's what I enjoy about the authenticity of your platform.
Thank you.
Love. Yeah. Drop the biro.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll try and wrap it up now, because this one's going on long, but we often talk about our goals and the future and stuff at the end of each podcast. Do you know the concept of ikigai is really popular at the moment? Yeah, I love that. It's where the convergence of 3 circles where what you're good at, what you enjoy, and what the world needs meets in the middle. That's like your true life purpose. Now, I haven't given you enough time to like ponder and meditate on this one.
Ponder on purpose.
But yeah, on your purpose. But
excuse me while I go have an existential crisis. I'll
exactly,
be back.
Yeah. 2 seconds there, like.
I'd say 90% of like what I think about is like, what is why are we here? Like I'm a why. Like everything goes back to why person.
Do you know that meme? You saw the guy going aliens. I can see Judy at home like aliens.
I think you were a nightmare toddler. Why?
I was very annoying. I remember why was like my big question, but that doesn't mean that I figured it out. Like, even though it's like not at the front of mind, I'm more lost than anyone. So that's why I'll go to one of you first. Shan, I feel like you've done some work on the why.
Not at all.
Yeah, no.
Not at all. The only thing I say to you, right, so I get a lot of my clients do this. You get a piece of paper, okay, lengthways, You fold it in the middle, half. You put 1 to 100 here, and then you break the piece of paper at your age. So the only thing I'm thinking about now is I'm on the wrong side of that rip of the tear of paper, and what can I fit in? And as quickly as possible, because it's just my why now is just to have a good time. Happiness is my center. And the other 3 things are anything that comes into that. I was actually on, I was a guest this week on the Business and Marketing Scoop, which Jen used to present with Mark. And I actually
Jen founded that, did you, Jen?
No.
It's all right, Mark.
Sorry.
Mark admitted he hasn't listened to this yet. I said, I've listened to all of yours, Mark. But yeah, I actually worked out, I spent a lot of time last year getting rid of stuff that wasn't bringing me joy. And so far this year, apart from a couple of shitty emails, so far this year, I physically haven't done anything in exchange for money that I haven't really enjoyed.
Nice.
So
Very Marie Kondo.
That's a win.
That's a huge win. And yes, I've turned a few things away, but the center of that for me is so simple. It's happiness.
Love it. Love it. Jay?
Explain the rules to me.
So, well, it doesn't have to be
What
your
is
icky
it?
guy, but I suppose your most...
When you said icky guy, I thought you meant like this whole trend that like what's an ick that guys do that you don't like. That's what I thought you meant for a second. I was like, whoa, we're targeting me up here.
Okay, let me go back. What's your biggest ick for men? Because I'd rather hear that.
Well, that would help you with your overshare. What is the biggest ick for men?
And can you vet them before you go on a second date? It would be great.
Just
So
men.
yeah. Are we talking personal or professional?
I think
circles?
go professional, but I think that they probably have to meet somewhere as well. Like, it has to be something.
See, like I had this conversation with Jules this morning. Like the agency is doing well. We're doing solid, but there's not much room to properly grow unless I start taking team on and becoming a full-fledged. And we had the conversation over lunch the last day, ladies, that I don't like the word agency. Because that's not what I am. I'm like, it's just whatever way I worked it. But like, then I was like, I need to start focusing more on my personal brand, because my personal brand will lead into the stuff I want to become. Like, I want to become a full-fledged YouTuber where I'm creating content. I want to be able to go off and just do photo shoots and video shoots and just create that way. So it has a knock-on effect. Like, Jen, you could verify this in a way that, like, if I have 20, 30, 40,000 followers and I'm pushing YouTube videos, the YouTube is slowly going to build even more as well. So you'll have monetizing your personal brand on socials, you're monetizing your YouTube, and then there's other you could do. I'm not doing a course, as I said, but like presets and offering and digital files and whatever it is. But I can't seem to just pull myself and go, pull myself out of my head and go, just do it. Just keep creating content, create content. I think that's like, it would be like agency, YouTube, and I don't know what the other thing is. And I'm trying to balance. That's like at the end of last year, I was trying to say to you what I need to, because I was talking about a rebrand. Is that going to work? Is it a more personal brand that moves in instead of the agency feel? Like, this is a whole podcast in itself, but like moving forward, I just need to build my personal brand across all channels. And it's just me getting out of my head to do it, doing the 100 days of videos, or not even doing 100 days, but just like I have a Notion app, the app Notion, where I just have reams of video ideas, reams of them that are sitting there for the last 3, 4, 5 months. And it's just getting to do it, and there's like, I have 2 kids, the business, but like there's plenty of time. I'm just I sat down and watched Heat last night. That's a 3-hour long movie. It's like it's just getting myself. So maybe the goal is to get off my ass and build that personal brand the way I want to. Like,
I watched Love Island while on Twitter getting live updates about what people are saying, and like took a picture overhead of myself, and I was like, you are so sad. Jen, do you have a guiding purpose?
No. Yeah, like if it feels bad, don't do it. If it feels good, do it. Pretty simple. But also, like, that being said, I have been known to put myself under severe stress to get things over the line as well. Like, so there's 2 sides to it. I'm like a little bit of a people pleaser, so that'll iron itself out in time as well. But One thing that I wanted to mention that, Shan, that you were talking about the feeling good part. There's actually a really good book that I just finished called Feel Good Productivity by Ali Abdal. And he talks about productivity and working towards your goals from the perspective of happiness first, as opposed to like, here, use this like Notion template with this in the background, and here's your spreadsheet and all of that. But he gives really deep, meaningful insights into like the questions around the 5 core areas that you should ask yourself before you take on something. Excluding if this is working off the assumption of like, good old Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that you do have food, shelter, home. You don't, you're getting to a stage of self-actualization of like, you're coming up above all of the things that you need to survive, and now you want to thrive. And if you want to do that well and be productive and meaningful about it, you should do that. That book is fantastic for that. And then there's a second piece from, I was listening to Cal Newport's podcast recently. He's releasing a book called Slow Productivity in March. I love productivity, if anyone hasn't noticed. But there is his content in general is unbelievable. But he also has this theory around like Jay, what you're talking about there, where it's like, I just haven't gotten up and made the video. Well, that's fine, but break it into the 100 pieces and just do the first thing, which is like, maybe write the script or do X, Y, and Z. Like start moving yourself through it in a time appropriate approach. But his structure then is the complete flip side. He has a book called like I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. I'll put it in the show notes afterwards. But it's about finding happiness because you've progressed. So the idea is like, okay, I have to do shitty work that doesn't make me feel good to get up and make the video and this, that, and the other. But over time that will be hugely passionate. You'll be hugely passionate about it over time. Something that you wouldn't be passionate about at the start becomes a passion just by virtue of developing that skill set and the fulfillment of that. So those 2 resources are fantastic for this as well, I think.
Amazing.
It's called Dharma Karma. If anybody's ever done yoga, Dharma is living in your best life. The karma is the shit you do to get there.
Yeah.
And I give all my clients, actually, when I work with business clients, I give them a Dharma Karma sheet to go and work out if they're actually doing the right thing.
Yeah. I remember the name of the book now. It's So Good They Can't Ignore You. It's very good.
Oh, I like that.
Brilliant.
Oh.
Screams of Shan, doesn't it? Screams of Shan, doesn't it? Yeah.
I find that for my younger life, I was extremely ambitious and motivated, but it was all motivation from anxiety. Like anxiety was the thing that was driving me all the time and making me do all-nighters and like, the goals. And then like, it's only recently, but it's taken a few years to go stop being driven by anxiety, find something else to drive you. Still haven't found it. And I just kind of feel like I'm becoming a bit lazy or something, or much lazier than I used to be. But if it's like, if I can't find a motivation, but my one motivation for, I suppose, working for myself is the ability to overshare, the ability to cringe. The thing that I don't have to put on Twitter is all views are my own, because I'm not representing a company who I'm terrified of that, they'll see a post of me and fire me or so, or like, like these crazy ideas and thoughts that come into your head. So I think for me, it's like, it's finding something that drives me that's not negative, and always being able to speak my mind in no matter what project I take on or job I do. And hopefully that won't be crazy, but we'll see as I evolve into the next few years. I feel like I'm going through a bit of a rebirth at the moment. So that is kind of a little bit of the post and stuff like that. But it's good. Everything's changing. The technology is changing so fast. I'm loving learning about creative AI at the moment, and I'm looking forward to the future. So,
are you going to get a Vision Pro, Judy?
I think so. I
knew you would get a Vision Pro.
I want to talk about
people.
This.
I knew you would get it.
I want to talk about all the things that I'm working on at the moment because it's insane.
Might do a tech episode next week or something.
Love to. My friend asked me to do a whole episode on AI.
I'm still like Oculus.
I think I'm hosting next week.
Under the Oculus, so I'd really like to play around with the Vision Pro. I'm actually contemplating.
Jen, can you get a sponsor the Vision Pro there so we can test it out?
Talking about what are you
the
talking
Apple
about?
Vision Pro thing, the big thing that sits on people's faces.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'd be lethal. I'd just knock into everything, break a leg, end up on my
You
reformer
can
for
see
6
through
weeks.
it.
You can see perfectly.
Oh.
Yeah, you can see everything.
It's like,
It
And
brings
you
up
have
your
your
screens in front of
screens,
you, and
but there's
yeah.
cameras. You can see everything.
oh, I
Yeah.
love it. I love it.
So it'd be like if you're cooking and you can see all your pots and pans, but the recipe's there in front of you as well, and you're swiping through it and being like, "What you know?"
Your
basic
headset is full of
example.
moisture. Please. Right, guys, we'll end it there because this has gone on a lot long. Thank you so much for
Perfect.
listening, everyone. Please rate us, and share our stuff on social media. Talk to you next week.